So you reached this video because you're either interested in hacking or maybe preventing it. So you want to become like a security engineer or prevention manager, something like that, right? Yes, there is a comb in my hair and this is a denim jacket, bringing the 80s back. So with that said, I'd like to tell you guys a little bit about me, how I became a developer, how I got into hacking, and just basically the backstory of how I got myself into this, which might get you prepared as well. This video is basically the introduction, but just like a tree, you gotta grow roots first. I encourage you to finish watching this video before you watch the other videos that I'll be releasing really soon on actually doing the hacking. We'll go over the history of hacking, stuff like Wi-Fi hacking, how it's done, passwords hacking. We'll get into some scripting. We'll get into some HTML injection, really powerful stuff. Yeah, we'll probably do some scripting where I'll show you how you can create your own, I guess, virus, worm, Trojan, backdoor, and stuff like that. Strictly for educational purposes, of course. So, enough about you. Let's talk about me. When I started hacking, I started off, a little kid. Most people or kids when they're young. And I was very interested in computers. So, I grew up kind of really poor and was back in a small island. And what I wanted the most was a computer, right? So I never really got much birthday gifts. Actually, I never really celebrated my birthday that much until I was about like 10 years old. I think I got my first birthday party. And the only thing I wanted was a computer. At the airport, when I met my mom, I guess she was coming from wherever she was. Don't ask. She actually brought me a computer. Now, it was a laptop, and it wasn't a real laptop. I'm about to age myself right now, okay? It was one of those, it wasn't even Fisher Price. It was one of those, fake toys for kids, because I was a kid, that teaches you math and reading and stuff like that. And I loved it. Even though it wasn't really what I wanted. I thought it was a real laptop at the time, though. Eventually, my brother went out. I believe I remember the exact amount was $800. He spent $800 at the time, and he had bought himself a PC, a personal computer. So that was for me and him, so we can play some games. At the time, it was a Windows 3.1. Yes, got the mini floppy disk and the larger floppy disk. What's the CD-ROM, you say? We never knew. We had a little helicopter game on the floppy disk. Punch that sucker in and it was great. Loved it. Windows 3.1, like a boss. There's not a lot of like user interface and user experience with it, so I had to know some MS-DOS to operate that Windows 3.1 efficiently. So I started learning. I had the book. Nobody reads the PC manuals, but this guy did. I had the book and I was going through it, reading these MS-DOS commands and trying to, do stuff because we didn't have a mouse. That was the biggest reason why, to be honest with you. Anyways, eventually time passes by. I think it was like 96-ish. Microsoft had dropped their Windows 95, and Mom actually went out and bought us a real computer. It was a Windows 95. I'll never forget. I was so happy. Plug that telephone wire into it. Start your dial-up up. And then you're connected. And it was a whole different world. I had Motocross. I don't think I had Motocross Madness and Monster Truck Madness on the 95. It might have been the 98. Which we got later. But, long story short, I completely destroyed the computer. Couldn't fix it. Mom had to send it to the shop. I was without a computer for a long time because they took a while to fix that thing. So I started messing around with my phone, for that crave, to satisfy my technology craving. I was just on little Nokia. There wasn't colors on the phones at that time, just the little snake game. It's like Slither or whatever it was. You can't like eat yourself, and you gotta get the little, I guess, star, whatever it is that pops up. You just gotta eat it, and you keep getting longer. Messed around with that, so I was getting into the phone stuff as well. Then, computer was repaired, came back completely, got it either infected or, sound stopped working, or the graphics were looking kind of funky and I couldn't fix it. Mom had to send it back to the shop again. And this is no joke. About 6 or 7 times after breaking that computer, Mom having to send it back to the shop, around the 5th or 6th time, I was able to fix it myself. And it grew and it grew. That knowledge grew. I was able to reinstall it. Oh, okay, reinstall it. Graphics look great. Sound doesn't work, right? Somehow broke it again. Start repairing it again. No, I fix it. Graphic works. Ooh, sound works. Maybe internet doesn't work, right? I got so good at it, I completely fixed it, and it was in better condition than we bought it. We had now upgraded to a Windows 98, and I had Motocross Madness and Monster Truck Madness. You know what I'm talking about? Drop a like if you have played those games. That's right, that's some classic Windows PC game right there. Came default with the operating system, if I remember that correctly. During that time, cell phones were all prepaid. Give me a thumbs up if this was you. If you send a text, you'll lose minutes. If you make a phone call, you lose minutes. If you receive the text, bruh, you still lose minutes. If you receive a phone call, it's still your minutes. So you might have just a couple of cents left to send one little text, and then someone texts you, hey, what's up? And you're done. Can't respond. Can't do nothing. You're done. If that was you, also drop a like, because those were brutal days. My interest for hacking started because of the system was so rough back then. I wanted to make calls when I had no minutes. I wanted to send texts when I had no minutes. So I had to figure out a way. And I had a computer, and I had access to the internet. So I started digging and researching, and eventually I found one little way that was presented. I found it online somewhere, and I found other ways on my own. I was able to start unlocking phones so that they can put in different SIM cards and still work. So unlocking the carrier. The provider, the carriers, would normally charge you like $150 back then to unlock your phone. We had 2 competitors in the little island I grew up on, and I went to school and made bank because my little Nokia, I had an app on my phone that I could punch in those 2 numbers, I would ask them for their EME number, and then I believe the carrier, and it spit out about 3 combination of possible unlock codes. So I was hacking right there, making bank when I was going to high school at this point. Yes, I'm aging myself because it's like I'm saying it's Windows 98 and I'm in high school, right? Making bank with that. Next, I figured out a way. The internet showed me a way that I could have made a free call. It was kind of dangerous, right? You had to call 911, right? Because it's free. 911 will always be free, even if you don't have minutes. So I would call 911. And as soon as they pick up, I'll switch it over to put them on hold or whatever and dial another number. And the call will go through. Just like that. But I didn't really want to keep disturbing the police, right? So there was like a 411 or 441 or whatever, I don't know what it was. It was also free. So I started finding these other holes, like, hey, okay, so that's how it works. If I can open up a free channel, I can just shove some other stuff through there. That did sound wrong. And it worked. It worked. So, as you can imagine, I was able to send free text. You gotta think, right? Type up a text, save it in your draft, get it ready to send, put the number, everything, and get it ready. Then you would just simply dial these numbers, 911 or, 411, whatever it was. Open up that free channel for me. Now that I'm in a free call, I say, hey, can you hold for just a second? Go to my text, boom, hit send, and voila, worked. I was officially an entrepreneur hacker. So I go to school, hey, you don't got any minutes, I can hook you up, make you a free call for $5. What? I'm not kidding. I would go to school because back then the school system in the little island I grew up in, it wasn't free. Like, you don't pay for it with your tax money. I don't even remember if tax existed back there. But you paid for school, almost like a monthly tuition kind of thing. You paid for your lunch and everything. So I would have to go to school either with lunch or with money to buy lunch. I went to school with money to buy lunch, but came back home with more money than I went with, like triple. I would go to school with maybe like $20, come back home with 50, 60. So I was rolling, I was balling. My interest in this break-in technology and manipulating and having to do what you wanted to do, that interest was growing because I like being that smart guy. People come to me. I wanted to do more, right? I went to a very ancient place. It's called the library. That's right, the library. And I would look for a internet security book to read on how these things are prevented. Naturally, for you to know how these things are prevented, you have to know how they're done. Now, what you do with the information will be up to you. Keep that in mind. My disclaimer. After reading all those books, I understood how it worked. A couple of techniques that was very simple. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you one right now, actually, because I'm near the end of the story anyways. I'm going to tell you one right now of how I was able to do that with Facebook, MySpace, Gmail, any account, any sites that you had to log into, period. Because the sites were making a very, very, very bad mistake. First mistake they were making, and only some of them was making this first mistake. But the second mistake, all of them, every single one of them was making this mistake. First mistake that only some of them were making is when you typed in the wrong username or password, the error message would clearly identify which one you typed in wrong. So it would say, oops, wrong password, or oops, wrong username, which would let you know if you typed in the wrong password and it says wrong password. That basically it tells you, okay, well, I guess the username is correct. So you're at the point where you can guess people's username, and now all you gotta do is find out their passwords. That was the first wrong thing that some of them was making. The second wrong thing that every single one of them was doing wrong, which made it so easy for me to hack, was that when you typed in the wrong password or wrong username, the error message that pops up was embedded in the URL. And for those of you that are not technical or not really at that level to understand what I just said yet, you will get there because I'm about to explain it. Basically, that means when I typed in the wrong username and hit boom, log in, the error message pops up. The URL at the top, www.facebook.com, changes to match the error message. So it would say facebook.com/error, you've entered the wrong credentials. Something like that, right? So it's in the URL. What does that mean? It means if I copy that URL, go to a completely different computer with it, and type in that exact URL, facebook.com/error, you've entered the wrong credential, and press go and load up that page, it would already show me the error message on the page stating that I've entered the wrong credential, even though I have not typed in anything yet. Why was that a big deal? Simple. Because a guy like me, will create a fake login page that looks like Facebook. Back then, people didn't pay attention too much to the URL that they're going to. So, for me to hack a guy, that was so easy. All I needed was a beautiful picture of a girl. Girls were a little bit more difficult. But, guys, I would send them an email with a beautiful picture of a girl. Click on the picture. It would be a link to say, hey, come check out my Facebook. Haven't seen you in a while. Or, hey, I think I know you. Come check out my Facebook. Maybe we can link up. Whatever it is. They click on the picture or a button that says, check her out on Facebook or log into Facebook with the legit Facebook icon on it, right? Send them in. So all I would need would be their email address, right? You get it, right, at this point. They click on it. It brings them to Facebook, which is my Facebook. My fake Facebook login page. Fake. Whatever you type in there and you hit login will be sent to me. Completely fake, right? They type that in. Type in their information, not paying attention to the URL, because URL would look somewhat similar to Facebook, but it might have two Ks or OU instead of two O's or something slightly wrong that you won't really catch unless you're paying attention, right? So when you hit sign in, two things happen. Your information is then sent to me. And secondly, you get rerouted to the real Facebook page. But it would look kind of strange if you typed in your email address, you click login, and it simply just blinks. And you see the same page. Like, what happened to my information? You would start getting suspicious, right? But that's where that URL with the embedded error comes in. Because that's where I'm sending them. So what happens in their perspective is that they typed in the wrong password or something. And when they hit sign in, they get the error message. Because now they're on the real Facebook page with the real error message. So it seems seamlessly. So now when they type it in again, they will log in into the real Facebook. So in your mind, nothing just happened. You simply you fat fingered at some point. Because now you're actually in the real Facebook. So nothing happened. Anyways, enough about the Facebook. I was being paid by clients to make sure their significant other wasn't cheating on them. And so that was also some good money. I was getting these passwords easily. And of course, it was also brute force for those that were a little bit more intelligent. So hacking doesn't really mean, you're crunching data and no. Hacking could be simply a little bit of surveillance. So I would ask a lot of questions about them, birthdays, things they like. And at that point, you can almost create a list of possible passwords and just attack that login system with them and see which one works. So simple stuff like that. That's just a brute force attack. And also if they use like real words for their password, because people were dumb back then, using real words like tree or yellow plant, whatever, in their for their passwords, you can always just use a dictionary attack. So from A to Z with the numbers 1, with the numbers 0 to 9, just crunching at it and hitting it, like 1,000 words per minute. Okay. That's the longer method. It does take time. Could even take like a week. I remember one of them took me almost 2 weeks to crack, but it cracked. And don't get me started on like Wi-Fi. WEP was like the norm back then. Dudes, we can crack a WP Wi-Fi connection in under 3 minutes. Okay, sometimes in under a minute. And that's some stuff I'm going to be showing you guys on the series that's coming up. So definitely subscribe for that. Hit the bell so you get the notification. Don't forget. Ultimately, I came up with the genius plan. And I'm sorry this video is taking too long, but if you're still with me, then I know you're still interested, right? I came up with a very genius plan that I wanted to hack the world. At this point, I needed to be able to code my own virus, my own worm, my own backdoor. I was using some free programs out there like I think it was like Trojan 7, something like that, or 7 Horse. It has, if you look up Google, you can find a lot of backdoor programs. You can find a lot of spyware out there that are actually, for companies to monitor their employees and make sure they're doing the right thing. So stuff like that. But you're able to engineer your own. You can make it more customizable. So I needed to learn code. So back then I learned VB6, Visual Basic 6. Now it's called Visual Studio. It was called Visual Basic back then. And it was Visual Basic 6. So I learned to script, create a nice UI, and coded my own client. And what that means is like a controller. And then with the code that I gave it, I can enter port and IP address and create a little virus that will melt into the system. So when I send that to someone, they don't see it when it runs. It just melts in the back and it stays there. I was able to create one that was undetected. So I literally went online with this thing, scanned it against multiple antiviruses, and they will tell me it's green and it's clean. And it was 100% not green and clean, like it had all kinds of STDs. That was how bad it was, all right? Blender was one of the little tools I would use. You can blend 2 applications together, like a picture and a virus. So you send someone a picture and they open up the picture opens up, and then the virus also does, what it's supposed to do. So now that I've created, I was successful in creating a undetected virus, and sorry YouTube for saying this. YouTube was the platform that I wanted to go on and distribute in this. Now this was a part of my genius plan. I'm gonna tell you how it all comes together. My plan here was to hack the world. Yeah, I had big dreams, I know. I quickly scratched the plan, and you hear why. And as you can tell from my story, I really wasn't like a white hat, and I wasn't really a black hat either, because I wasn't trying to do malicious things like hurt people and ransom their data for money. No, I was just being paid by a wife that wants to know if their husband is being cheating on them. Simple, right? I'm doing a good deed to this lady, okay? So, I went on YouTube. I created a nice little channel. I gave my application a name, and I started sharing it with all the hackers out there. I would tell you the hacker code name that I use, but so while on YouTube, I shared my undetected backdoor virus to everyone, mainly hackers, so they can go out, hack their friends. If they're really serious and professional, and they're white hat, black hat, I don't care. They can also use a tool and just do whatever they want with it. And they were eating it up. They were using it. It was great. The part of my plan to hack the world. So how did I benefit from this? Simple. It was a backdoor inside of a backdoor. It's like I hired them without them really knowing. So whoever they hack, I got the information. They got the information of whoever they hack, but I got their information. So because I have access to their machine, I have access to whoever they hack. So I just sit back, watch them hack people. And it was going great. It was going great. The plan was working. I had access to so many computers. It was ridiculous. There was so many logs, screenshots, website they've gone to, their passwords, credentials, everything, right? And a little bit too much, to be honest with you. I ran into one case where there was a gentleman. I'm sorry for doing this to you if it was you. You had too many bank accounts information, and it was just not right. Okay, I mean, at least it was a notepad file, a text file. You would scroll down and watch the scroller buffers and get smaller and smaller and smaller because there's so many more content down there. At least, and I'm not kidding, at least 50,000 worth of just bank information, people's phone numbers, address, credit card, all of that. I immediately reported that to the FBI anonymously. And it felt good, because that's not what I was in it for. I like knowledge. I like to use my knowledge to increase my knowledge. That was my old time saying. You might guess what my hacker name was now. But that was my old time saying. My slogan on the forums and everything would be, use your knowledge to increase your knowledge. That's all it is. I like knowing things. I like knowing things and people not knowing I know things. That's what I like. And that was my interest right there. But not, those kind of stuff. So that completely turned me off. And when I reported it, it gave me a good feeling like, oh, okay. I'm like an internet police, right? It felt great. But that was the first incident. The second incident is when I kind of turned my back from the, from I guess the grayish hat and just went full blown white. Came across a couple of logs where I noticed that they were auctioning a little girl. It was definitely I was getting into the really deep web, and there was a lot of really awful things that's happening. There was bad things happening on the internet. There's bad things happening in the world, right? And with the skill set that I had to find these things, I quickly reported that with screenshots, the chat log. It was two middle-aged guys. I saw their photos, and I saw the photos of these little girls that they're auctioning off and talking about the things they're saying. It was very disturbing. But to know that I might have saved her, I don't know. I just reported it, gave the FBI's everything I had, and turned around and I never looked back. To know that I was able to potentially do something about it was a real eye-opener. That hey, your skills can be used to change the world. I always look at the world and say, wow, it's pretty shitty. I wish I could change it. And doing a little here and doing a little there, we can. So hacking, the word hacking is really not a bad word. We have made it into a bad word these days, but police use hackers. You know what I'm saying? Hackers are the ones that prevent hackers. You need that guy that can hack in your company to keep your company safe. So, that's a little backstory on me, and I know we got kind of got a little serious there for a second. But, and no, I'm not crying. There's just something in my eye. For real, I'm not crying. There's something just went in my eye. So, with that said, now you know a little bit about me and the passion that I have inside and how far I've gone with this. I want to kind of share with you these knowledge so that you can also pick your path. And also, there's still going to be a bunch of coding tutorials on here with Unity, but I'm going to be doing a lot of hacking stuff as well. Give this video a like if you want to see some more content, or if you're excited about the hacking series that I'm about to drop, then subscribe as well, hit the notification bell so you don't miss it.